Hello everyone, George DeSantis here. I did two videos this weekend, and this is the second one. So if you haven't received the email, you could simply go to YouTube and look for it. Just use the date to search for it, my name and the date. As usual, a disclaimer for those who are new, take a look at it. It describes the fact that I'm not a professional investment advisor, but I do this for my own purposes and put it on YouTube, and those who care to take a look will do so. Um, Now, I want to, on the second video that I'm doing here, I want to take a look at some individual stocks and perhaps back to the regular market as well. But let's continue. Okay, so let's start with the individual stocks by looking at InMode. It's a stock I bought and got stopped out somewhere in here. And and I have an interest in it because I like the concept. I don't think that it's going to go out of business. They're profitable. They're an IPO, which is profitable. So what happened is it hit it went above the one standard deviation line, that magenta line, dotted line, and then it regressed all the way down to the one standard deviation line below the mean. And now it seems to be rallying up again. On Friday, it was up almost 9%. So we'll see how that one moves. In terms of how far it might go if it continues to rally, well, here you have two standard deviations. That's about $55, $56. And three standard deviations would be about $60. So those are sort of targets that we might keep in mind. So here's InMode on the shaking analytic chart, and you can see that it's mostly green. The only thing that looks neutral here is the overbought oversold indicator. Um, in fact, it's below 30, so it's oversold, but it hasn't ticked up much yet. And they like to see, shaking analytics wants to see this line tick up before they say strong. But it looks good to me, but unfortunately, I was stopped out. But this may be a buying opportunity. We saw that it went up 8% on Friday, but it's an IPO. It's it's one of these stocks that can be very risky to trade. But I mention it as I mentioned, I still like it. So let's take a look at some other things. You remember that I put up a screen from TC2000 that I did some time ago. And these are the stocks that entered the screen, okay, that met the criteria. And I just mentioned a few of them. This one here is a pharmaceutical, biotech. Again, biotech, very risky, but I did buy a few shares. I bought some shares. And you can see, except for the neutral rating here on overbought, oversold, it seems to be breaking out here. And it beat the estimates by a big margin. They estimated 7 cents, and they beat them. They beat them by $1.84. So I still hold it. Here's another one, ANSS. That's totally green. It's just ticked up. See, and that's a software company. I'll just take a look at a few of these that look very strong. This one I'm not too keen on, but EPAM is all green also. And you can see it's just about ticking up here. So it got the overbought, oversold optimal. If we look at Merck, I think Merck was a buy here, but it became overbought. And you can see how the money flow was here. So waiting for pullback to see if you want to buy that one, okay? There's some more familiar names here, I think. Let's see. Can't find any right now. So let's turn to some other lists. So here's another list here. It's dated December 2nd. So what this list represents is all of the search lists that I did here for these, the NASDAQ, the Russell, S&P, small caps, etc. I took the best looking ones and put them into this list. So we'll take a quick look at this. We'll take a look at this and we'll see if we can find any, stocks that we might like here. Put them on your watch list. Doesn't mean you go out and buy them right away. And you can't buy all these anyway, right? So look, what we have here is ACLS. It's saying neutral on the overbought oversold indicator because it's now between 30 and 70, but it still looks like it has some room to run. I'll just run down a few of them here. This is all green, but I don't like the fact that the money flow is so low. It's ticking up on the oversold indicator here, and the change of personality looks good. So, but it was down 3% on Friday. So let's look at the familiar name, AMAT. Except for the fact that money flow became neutral, negative here, relative strength is on a buy, and you can see that the oversold overbought indicator ticked up. So that's one that we're familiar with. How about BMY? BMY became overbought, as we saw earlier, and so now you want to wait for pullback, but the money flow is very strong. Let's see what else we want to look at. How about Intel? Intel is all green. Money flow declined here, but now it's oversold. And you saw that there is that change in personality here insofar as relative strength is concerned. So Intel is one I want to keep a close eye on. AbbVie, that's another biotech, but it's all green. And it's oversold and now ticking up. And you can see the personality change. It changed to relative strength, changed to green here. And it's a bullish stock. So I would put this one on my list. And Bank of America, I've been wanting to own Bank of America for a while, but now it's looking even more attractive here. You can see the personality change here from the negative to the positive. And you can see that it's ticking up. Even though it says neutral here, it's ticking up and looking to go higher, I think. How about stock that I own, Microsoft? Microsoft is all green. What's not to like here? Look at the money flow. And it's ticking up in terms of the oversold, overbought indicator. So, and you see how the relative strength is strong. So these are all good-looking stocks to own. How about UTX, which is United Technologies? Well, the money flow dropped a bit all the way down, but it's now oversold. So if you're interested in that, but I don't like the fact that they rate it neutral, so I won't be looking at that one. Let's look at another list. Now, this is a list of stocks that I showed you before. It's a list that I either owned at some time ago, don't own anymore, or I bought and sold or whatever. But anyway, here's a nice looking one. It's a machinery manufacturing stock, I suppose. I don't own it, but it's now saying neutral because it ticked up from below the 30% line or the 30 line. I'm not sure it's a percentage. Anyway, this is very bullish, and you can see why. It's above the long-term average. Now here's one that I've found. This is an ETF, IHI, and you can see a nice uptrend. And it's a company. It's an ETF of all those companies that manufacture medical devices. A few people I've known, I've heard like it very much. XLK, well, that's something I used to own, and I intend to buy it as part of my ETF portfolio. Just haven't done so yet. Accenture, I used to own it. I want to buy it again, and this is a good time. You see the money flow, and it's uptick. And look at the personality look to be changing. Adobe, I don't own anymore. I used to own it at one time, but now it's oversold. So it's looking good again. How about Cummins? They manufacture engines, and it's now very oversold. Everything else, well, we could look at a checklist. Everything else is green. They're all green. Google actually is ticking up here on the oversold overbought indicator. So Google looks like a good one right here. I own that. I still own it, but it's an ETF, so you wouldn't see the checklist here. Microsoft again, no need to look at that again. CDNS I used to own, but since it dropped below that long-term line, I don't own it anymore. Let's see what else. Target I still own. It became overbought, and now it's going down to the oversold region. I also sold some covered calls on it. And Apple, of course, I still own it. The fact that it's in the neutral territory, it's rated neutral, it doesn't really concern me. Look at the money flow here, and it's now oversold and ticking up. So these are all interesting stocks. Some of them I own. Now a friend of mine actually introduced me to this one. It's an energy related stock. It's a new alternative energy type play on the energy market, and I think it pays a pretty good dividend too. I don't remember what the dividend is, but let's look at the checklist. Not very impressive on the checklist, but not green, but not bad either. No reds, right? Nothing bearish here. So this is one to keep in mind. Let's see, anything else? I did XPXL. I still own that because that's a leverage S&P. And I did mention Rail some time ago. They've had some problems. It's now overbought, so I owned it for a very short time. Since we have a few minutes left, we could take a look at another list, which is considered classic bulls according to Shaken. What they're looking for is stocks that meet these criteria, and they're principally, for the most part, green. So let's take a look at some of them. You can see they're saying this one is overbought, and money flow came down a bit here. So that's one way you want to wait for it to become oversold. BLDR, this is a building products company, and you can see it's all green and it's very bullish, so you might want to put that on your list. CNOB, I'm not familiar with this. This is a bank. It's also oversold. These are classic bulls, okay? But some of them may not be quite oversold at this time. This one it was oversold. It's now slightly above 30, and that's why this is neutral. Otherwise, it looks pretty good. CSL. CSL is what? Carlyle Companies. That's a big group. This one we were looking at, all green. So you can take a note of some of these if you want. You can stop the video, take a look, and see if you want to put them on your watch list. All green here, but I would be concerned about this really big run up here. Select Medical Holdings, not familiar with it. But it's one of these classic bulls because it meets most of these criteria, you know. I'm just going to go through a few more if we have time for. You see I have EPAM here. That's another all green. It's a technology stock, IT services. There's another one. They say it's oversold now, overbought. So they're saying to wait. AMED, neutral because it's in the no man's land here between 70 and 30. Okay, folks, I think I'm gonna call it a day. Post this video up with the other one, and hope you have a good week trading. We'll try and do this again within the next week or two. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.